Hello everybody, welcome to TRP, the random podcast with me, Saurabh Saneja. This is the book reading series of TRP and currently we are reading the book The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari by Robin S. Sharma. So let's get started. What did Yogi Raman and other sages do to live this ritual? They had many sub-rituals which they performed on a daily basis as a tribute to the ritual of abundant knowledge. One of the most important strategies is also one of the easiest. You can even start doing it today. It won't take up too much time, will it? Julian smiled. These techniques, tools, and tips I am sharing with you will make you more productive and effective than you have ever been. Don't be penny wise, pound foolish. Say what? Consider those who say that they do not have time to back up their computers because they are too busy working on them. Yet, when those machines crash and months of important work is lost, they regret not investing a few moments a day in saving it. Do you see my point? Get my priorities straight? Exactly. Try not to live your life bound by the shackles of your schedule. Instead, focus on those things that your conscience and your heart tell you to. When you invest in yourself and start to devote yourself to raising your mind, body, and character to their highest levels, you will almost feel as if you have a personal navigator inside you, telling you which thing you must do to see the greatest and most rewarding results. You will stop worrying about your clock and start living your life. Point well taken. So, what was the simple but sub-ritual you were about to teach me? I asked. Read regularly. Reading for 30 minutes a day will do wonders for you. But I must caution you, do not read just anything. You must be very selective about what you put into the lush garden of your mind. It must be immensely nourishing, make it something that will improve both you and the quality of your life. What did the sages read? They spent many of their waking moments reading and rereading the ancient teachings of their ancestors. They devoured this philosophical literature. I still remember seeing these wonderful looking people seated on little bamboo chairs, reading their strangely bound books with the subtle smiles of enlightenment unfolding across their lips. It was in Sivana that I really learned the power of the book and the principle that a book is the best friend of the wise. So I should start reading a very good book I can get my hands on? Yes and no, came the reply. I would never tell you not to read as many books as you can. But remember, some books are meant to be tasted, some books are meant to be chewed, and finally some books are meant to be swallowed whole. Which brings me to another point. You're feeling hungry? No, John, Julian laughed. I simply want to tell you that to get the best out of a great book, you must study it, not just read it. Go through it as you do when you read these contracts your big clients bring to you for your legal opinion. Really considering it. Work with it. Become one with it. The sages would read many of the books of wisdom in their vast library 10 or 15 times. They treated books, great books, as scriptures, holy documents of divine origin. Wow, reading really is that important. 30 minutes a day will make a delightful difference in your life because you will quickly start to see the vast reserves of knowledge available for your use. Every answer to your problem you have ever faced is in print. If you want to be a better lawyer, father, friend, or lover, these are books out there. There are books out there that will rocket you to those goals. All the mistakes you will ever make in your life have already been made by those that have walked before you. Do you really think that the challenges you are facing are unique to you? I've never thought about it, Julian, but I see what you are saying, and I know you are right. All the problems anyone has ever and will ever face over the course of their lifetime have already been made, Julian asserted. More importantly, the answers and solutions are all recorded on pages of books. Read the right books, learn how those who have preceded you have handled the challenges you are currently facing. Apply their strategies for success and you will be astonished by the improvements you will note in your life. What exactly are the right books? I asked, quickly realizing that Julian's point was an excellent one. I leave that to your good judgment, my friend. Personally, since I have returned from East, I spent better part of my days reading biographies of men and women I have come to admire and a great deal of wisdom of literature. Any titles you could recommend to an eager young beaver? I said, flashing a broad grin. Sure, you will thrive on the biography of the great American, Benjamin Franklin. I think you will also find much growth impetus from Mahatma Gandhi's autobiography, entitled The Story of My Experiments with Truth. I also suggest that you read Siddhartha by Hermann Hesse, the highly practical philosophy of Marcus Aurelius, and some of the works of Seneca. You might even read Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. I read it last week and thought it was very profound. Think and Grow Rich, I exclaimed, but I thought you left all of that behind you after your heart attack. I'm really sick and tired of all the make money fast manuals that are being peddled out there by snake oil salesmen preying on the weak. Easy, big fella. I couldn't agree with you more, offered Julian with all the warmth and patience of a wise, loving grandfather. I do want to restore the character ethic to our society. That little book is not about making a lot of money. It is about making a lot of life. I'll be the first to tell you that there is a huge difference between well-being and being well off. I've lived it and I know the pain of the money-driven life. Think and Grow Rich is about abundance, including spiritual abundance and how to attract all that is good into your life. You might do well to read it, but I'll not press the point. Sorry, Julian. I didn't mean to sound like an aggressive litigator. I offered apologetically. I guess my temper gets the better of me sometimes. One more thing I need to improve. I really am grateful for all that you are sharing with me. No problem. Water under the bridge. My point simply is read and keep reading. Do you know? Do you want to know something else interesting? What? It's not what you will get out of the books that is so enriching. It is what the books will get out of you that will ultimately change your life. You see, John, books do not actually teach you anything new. Really, really. Books simply help you to see what is already within yourself. That's what enlightenment is all about. After all my journeying and exploring, I found that I have actually come full circle back to the point from which I started as a young boy. But now I know myself and all that I am and can be. So the ritual of abundant knowledge is all about reading and exploring the wealth of information out there. Partly. For now, read 30 minutes a day. The rest will come naturally, Julian said with a hint of mystery. Okay, what's the fifth ritual of radiant living? It is the ritual of personal reflection. The sages were firm believers in the power of inner contemplation. By taking time to get to know yourself, you will connect to a dimension of your being that you never knew you had. Sounds pretty deep. It's actually a very practical concept. You see, we all have many sleeping talents inside of us. By taking the time to get to know them, we kindle them. However, silent contemplation will deliver even more than this. This practice will make you stronger, more at ease with yourself, and wiser. It is very rewarding use of your mind. I'm still a little fuzzy on the concept, Julian. Fair enough. It was also foreign to me when I first heard it. Boiled down to its basic form, personal reflection is nothing more than the habit of thinking. But don't we all think? Isn't that part of being human? Well, most of us do think. The problem is that most people think just enough to survive. What I'm speaking about with this ritual is thinking enough to thrive. When you read Ben Franklin's biography, you will see what I meant. Every evening after a full day of productive work, he would retire to a silent corner of his room and reflect on his day. He would consider all his actions and whether they were positive and constructive or whether they were of the negative sort, in need of repair. By clearly knowing what he was doing wrong in his days, he could take immediate steps to improve and advance along the path of self-mastery. The sages did the same. Every night, they would retire to a sanctuary of their huts covered by fragrant rose petals and sit in deep contemplation. Yogi Raman would actually take a written inventory of his day. What kind of things would he write down? I asked. First, he would list all of his activities, from the personal care activities of his morning to his interactions with the other sages to his forays into the forest in search of firewood and fresh food. Interestingly, he would also write down the thoughts he had run through his mind during that particular day. Isn't that hard to do? I can hardly remember what I thought 5 minutes ago, let alone 12 hours ago. Not if you practice this ritual daily. You see, anyone can attain the kind of results I have attained. Anyone? The real problem is that too many people suffer from that dreadful disease known as excusitis. I think I might have contracted that one in the past. I said in full knowledge of what my wise friend was saying. Stop making excuses and just do it. Julian exclaimed, his voice resonating with the strength of conviction. Do what? Take the time to think. Get into the regular habit of personal introspection. Once Yogi Raman had listened all that he had done and all that he had thought in one column, he would then do an assessment in another column. As he was confronted by his activities and thoughts in the written form, he asked himself whether they were positive in nature. If they were, he resolved to continue giving his precious energy to them, as they would pay huge dividends in the long run. And if they were negative, then he would come up with a clear course of action to get rid of them. I think an example might help you. Can it be personal? Julian asked. Sure, I would love to know some of your innermost thoughts, I suggested. Actually, I was thinking about yours. We both started to giggle like a couple of kids in a schoolyard. Oh, alright. You always did get your way. Okay, let's go through just a few of things that you did today. Write them down on that piece of paper on the coffee table, Julian instructed. I started to realize that something important was about to happen. This was the first time in years that I had actually taken the time to do nothing but reflect on the things I was doing and the thoughts that I was thinking. It was all so strange and yet so intelligent. After all, how could I ever hope to improve myself and my life if I hadn't even taken the time to figure out what I was supposed to improve? Where do I start? I asked. Start with what you did this morning and progress through your day. Just hit a few of the highlights. We still have a fair amount of ground to cover, and I want to get back to Yogi Raman's fable in a few minutes. Fine. I woke up at 6:30 to the sound of my electric rooster. I joked. Get serious and keep going. Julian replied firmly. Okay. Then I showered and shaved, gobbled down a waffle, and rushed off to work. And what about your family? They were all asleep. Anyway, once I get to the coffee, I noticed that my 7:30 appointment had been waiting there since 7, and boy, was he furious. What was your response? I fought back. And what was I supposed to do? Let him push me around? Okay, then what happened? Well, things went from bad to worse. The courthouse called and told me that Judge Wildebest needed to see me in his chambers, and if I wasn't there within 10 minutes, heads would roll. You remember Wildebest, don't you? You were the one who nicknamed him Judge Wild Beast after he held you in contempt for parking your Ferrari in his parking spot. I recalled, breaking into laughter. You would have to bring that up, wouldn't you? Julian replied, his eyes revealing the remnants of that mischievous twinkle he was once well known for. Anyway, I rushed down to the courthouse and had another argument with one of the clerks. By the time I got back to the office, there were 27 phone messages waiting for me, all marked urgent. Need I go on? Please do. Well, on the way home, Jenny called me in the car and asked me to stop by her mother's house and pick up one of those amazing pies my mother-in-law is famous for. Problem was that when I took that exit, I found myself in the middle of a gridlock that was worse than anything I've seen in ages. So there I was, in the middle of rush hour traffic, in 95-degree heat, shaking with stress, and feeling that even more time was slipping away. How did you respond? I cursed the traffic, I said with complete honesty. I was actually shouting out loud inside my car. Do you know what I said? I don't think that would be kind of a thing that would nourish the garden of my mind. Julian responded with a soft smile. But it might make for good fertilizer. No thanks. Maybe we should stop there. Just a second, just take a second and look at your day. Obviously, in retrospect, there are at least a few things that you would do differently if you had the chance. Obviously. Like what? Well, first, in perfect world, I would get up earlier. I don't think I'm doing myself any favors by hitting the ground running. I like to have a little peace in the morning and ease myself into the day. The heart of the roast technique you told me about earlier sounds like it would be fun. Also, I really would like to have family around the breakfast table, even if only for a bowl of cereal. It would give me a better sense of balance. I always seem to feel that I never spend enough time with Jenny and the kids. But it's perfect world, and you have a perfect life. You do have power to control your day. You do have the power to think good thoughts. You do have the power to live your dreams. Julian observed, his voice rising. I'm realizing this. I really am starting to feel that I can change. Great. Continue reflecting on your day, he instructed. Well, I wish I hadn't yelled at my client. I wish I hadn't argued with the court clerk. And I wish I hadn't screamed at the traffic. The traffic doesn't care, does it? It just keeps on being traffic, I noted. I think you know this. You now see the power of ritual of personal reflection. By looking at what you are doing now, how you are spending your day, and the thoughts you are thinking, you give yourself a benchmark for measuring improvement. The only way to improve tomorrow is to know what you did wrong today and come up with a clear plan so that it doesn't happen again. I added. Precisely. There is nothing wrong with making mistakes. Mistakes are part of life and essential for growth. It's like that saying, happiness comes through good judgment comes through experience, and experience comes through the bad judgment. But there is something very wrong with making the same mistakes over and over again, day in and day out. This shows a complete lack of self-awareness and very quality that separates humans from animals. I've never heard that one before. Well, it's true. Only a human being can step out of himself and analyze what he is doing right and what he is doing wrong. A dog cannot do this, a bird cannot do this, even a monkey cannot do this. But you can. This is what the ritual of personal reflection is all about. Figure out what is right and what is wrong in your days and in your life. Then set about making immediate improvements. So let's keep our discussion and book reading until here for the day. I hope you liked this episode of TRP, the random podcast. Please tell me your thoughts about this in the comments. Do like, share and subscribe. See you in the next one. Bye bye, take care, be healthy and be safe. Thank you.